When I moved to England, I thought my life would change completely. Yes, a lot of things changed, but it doesn't mean that it got better. Like when I was living in Brazil, I had this impression that every other country was better than Brazil. Any place was better than Brazil. That everything was more difficult in Brazil. And then I moved to England and I discovered that people in here have the same thought about the countries too. So you're gonna see British people complaining about the UK. And not everything is easy and good and better than other places. There are positive and negatives in both of them, and that's it. You either learn and live, or you just complain and, I don't know, move. Today I'm gonna tell you what changed in my life after I moved here and what I learned during these years. First thing that I had to do when I moved here was to create a simple bank account in the UK is so difficult if you are from another country, because basically you need the proof of address to open a bank account. But when you go to rent a place, you need the bank account. So you can't have a bank account without the house. You can't have the house without the bank account. So this was the first problem that I was like, what the heck? What the heck? How am I gonna do something here? And in the end, I fixed this problem, but it was the first thing that I thought, and I noticed, well, maybe Brazil is not that crazy. What is that rule in here? You know, how this can happen. But anyway, moved on and went to find a job. Now, to find a job in the UK, what I noticed, yes, there are lots of jobs available. You're gonna see thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of jobs being advertised. But you are gonna apply, and many times you're not gonna even have an answer back. They are not going to answer, they are not going to call you, nothing is gonna happen. And after a while, you're applying for jobs and jobs and jobs, it starts getting tiring. And I discovered after many months that they like you to have experience in this country. But it's not only that, they like when you know someone in the company. So if you do some networking and talk to people that works in the company you want to work, you can ask them to write you a referral letter. And that's gonna be a very good way for you to get a job, because you possibly will get at least an interview. When I learned this, it was great. Because yeah, just knowing someone in the company makes such a big difference for you to get a job. So if you are having problems finding a job here, just try meet someone that works in the company and talk about you, and if you are a good fit, they think you are a good fit. Of course, it's not just knowing someone, you need to actually have the experience and you need to have the qualifications for this job. But you're gonna get an interview and your chances of getting the job, if you are good, are much better. Because what happens, even if you are great and you have the killer CV, you are not going to get an interview very easily if you don't know anyone to put a word for you. That's what I learned, that's what I think, that's how I believe it works in here, at least in London. Networking, knowing someone is sometimes even more important than the qualifications itself. Like, you don't even need to have everything that the job is asking, but If you know someone, this person trusts you and they trust enough to give you a referral, great. You can just, go to the interview and prove that you are worth hiring. And that's it. Now, something that really changed me in a positive way here is the fact that I know myself so much better now. And I did so many things on my own that I noticed that I'm capable of doing anything I want, which is very powerful. I also discovered things about my body that I didn't know it existed until I moved. Like, I am very sensitive to the winter and cold weather. My skin gets dry very easily. And I didn't know this until I moved here. So little things like that you discover about yourself and your ability to go and do things for you, like going to your first doctor's appointment, explain your symptoms, and talking to someone. All these little moments are like little victories. And you discover that you are capable of so many things that you thought you were not. So this is a very good thing about moving abroad. I also started having new thoughts, and I was already an open-minded person, but after I moved here and I was in touch with people from so many different nationalities, so all these changes and different people gave me the ability to understand others much easier. Like, people have different opinions than me. That's fine. I have different opinions. Like, for me, if your opinion is not degrading anyone, is not being bad for anyone, I don't care. You can think about whatever you want. You can do whatever you want, can dress whatever you want. I really don't see a problem. And the way I started dealing with all of this was basically creating a routine for me to adapt quickly. Like, for example, in Brazil, we have a big lunch. From 1 to 2 hours, we actually sit down with our families and we have a meal. And normally it's the biggest meal of the day, is the lunch. In here, it's different. The life is very fast-paced. So lunch normally is just you or your co-workers with you, and it's very quick, 20-30 minutes, sometimes even less than that. And you need a smaller meal, a lighter meal. And in the beginning, I used to eat the sandwich, which is very common to have it here. People eat lots of sandwich, but I couldn't deal with so much bread every single day. And I actually changed it for a salad, which is easy for me to make and is nutritious and is tasty. So now I have my little salad, which is good. And I adapted to eat the big meal in the dinner instead of the lunch, which is not great. I still don't feel great about it, even after all these years, because sometimes you have a big meal and you go to sleep and it's too heavy and I can't sleep well. But I'm trying to eat as early as I can. Sometimes it's possible, sometimes it isn't, but what can I do? We do what we can, isn't it? So lots of little changes like that can be a challenge, that they can be difficult as well. They are part of all this experience. It's not gonna be perfect. It's not gonna be like you think it is. You have to adapt. You have to change some things, but you also will be able to connect with yourself again. Like, for example, I used to read a lot when I was a kid, and then I stopped reading. And after I moved here, I started reading again. And that was so good for me, because I rescued something from far, 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 far back. I take more risks as well. I put myself out more because I know that people don't know who I am, and I can be whatever I want, basically. So this freedom is actually very good, because changing countries don't change who you are, but gives you a chance to know you're really you better, and to rescue parts of you that got fragmented during your life. Because what happens, I grew up, and during many years I fragmented myself to fit in different situations. And when I was an adult, I had a little bit of lots of people in me, and I forgot about lots of things that are truly me. And after I moved here, I was able to deconstruct everything and put myself back together and choose whatever I want to be now. So I feel more free, and I feel more authentic as well. There are always positive and negatives in everything you do. If you change a country, that's gonna be difficult moments, that's gonna be good moments. We just have to go and try and keep changing ourselves. Moving countries was good and bad. Another country will also have their own problems, and you just have to decide what we are willing to deal with it. We can't have everything, and life is not perfect. So let's just live the best we can. And that's it for this week. I'll see you next.